Warning, warning, warning. There are some bad words in this episode of the podcast. So yeah, there's your warning. There's going to be some cursing in this one.
Coconut. 5-Year Mission, the podcast, episode 30.
This episode of 5-Year Mission, the podcast, is brought to you by Fansets, your home for all things pop culture pin related. Head over to fansets.com and see all that they have to offer. And also stay tuned at the end of the episode for a very special offer from us here at 5-Year Mission.
By now you figured out that this is the 5-Year Mission podcast.
Welcome to yet another episode of 5-Year Mission, the podcast. I am one of your hosts. I was going to say your host, but I'm not the only one. One of your hosts, Andy Fark. With me tonight is Mr. Mike Rittenhouse, who set up this whole little thing we're about to do. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Andy.
Are you super stoked for our guests that are trying to distract us as I'm doing our intro?
I am.
Oh God, this is no. If you guys could see what I'm seeing right now, you would immediately know that we are about to bring on a band that's been around since about 2002. That's when they released their first album, Red Alert. They're also known for their albums It's Dead Jim, Borgasm, Rock Out With Your Spock Out, and their upcoming new album, The Search for Rock. You may also know them from the documentary Trekkies 2, where everybody's like, hey, are you that band from that Star Trek documentary? No, that is our guest tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Warp 11.
Whatever.
Wow, that's a whole lot of mic clipping going on right now.
Well, you said we can say hello or whatever, so there you go.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
I didn't realize we were going to be breaking microphones, though, in the process.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah,
Is that better?
Three Stooges humor always goes over great these days. We actually have a Three Stooges reference on the new album, believe it or not.
Really?
Man.
And Star Trek references.
Well, I would hope Star Trek references. Man.
I think you may have already got something wrong, Andy.
What's that?
Well, so, okay, you need to understand that John #1 Merlino, our drummer, say hello, John.
Hello, John.
Is 1/16 Vulcan.
Okay.
And so he has memorized all the facts and dates in regard to Warp 11. And even though I didn't really know what year we started, John knows.
1999, and the first album was Suck My Spock, not Red Alert.
Oh, well, see, this Suck My Spock is not on Spotify, so that's where I got
There's a reason.
There's a reason.
And not to be confused with Suck My Spock.
Well, actually, no, the reason for that is because it was remastered in 2008? I think, and renamed to Suck My Spock Some More, which is on Spotify.
And then the original plan when we formed the band was the first album was going to be called Suck My Spock. The second album was going to be called Suck My Spock Some More. And the third album was going to be called Okay, You Can Stop Sucking My Spock Now. But it just didn't work out. You know, it always looks so good on paper.
Yeah, it was too much sucking.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you get when you say start getting to the whole concept, like album realm, because then it's just, it goes
It was a trilogy. Concept trilogy of albums. Like Lord of the Rings.
From that very first idea, we would never be in Target.
That sounds about like our path too. Hey, we're just going to be a recording project, and then I went and booked us our first show.
You know, that's how we did it. It was like we had all these songs. Okay, well, go ahead and ask us how we started the band.
Okay, there we go.
Let's do it. Let's do this right.
All right, John, how did you guys start the band? Since you seem to have all the info.
I wasn't there, and besides, I felt it better anyway.
I'm out of here.
All right, Carl.
Kiki wasn't there either, so it's really a Carl and Ryan.
She was there. She wasn't in the band yet, but I was there. So I'll try to make the long story as short as I can. back in 1999, I worked for a company that Kiki founded that was making technology that could stream video onto the internet, like
Back
live
in the
streaming.
90s. Yeah.
Like
right.
98, 99. It was one of the first companies that was doing it. And the stuff we would stream would be like, 320 by 240, like
Oof.
so small because there was no
When
bandwidth.
bandwidth was massive back then.
Right.
But we used to do a lot of trade shows to, to show the technology, all these big TV trade shows we would go to. And my boss at the time said, hey, we want you to like make up a fake TV show that you guys are going to do at the trade show so people can see like the graphics. It would put up the lower thirds. It would do special effects,
Broadcast video.
broadcast video
Right.
stuff. And so I was like, okay, well, we'll do like 3 shows. We'll do like a high school news show. Me and my buddy, we worked together. We were making content for the thing. And we'll do like a technology review of the product. And then we need one more. We'll do like a sci-fi show, like 2 nerdy guys talking about. And what's interesting is that really could have been Star Wars or Star Trek, because I'm a sci-fi guy. I like them both. And it was just so randomly that we chose Star Trek. We'll do Star Trek. So it was like Wayne's World meets Star Trek. And we went to the trade show and we did this it was like a little skit. And, we did like Trek haiku and just all this weird stuff. We would fight with Batleth on stage.
We've done that.
Yeah, of course. And anyway, it was really popular to the point that people were showing up to see the bits because it was funny, and most trade shows are not funny.
Right.
And it was so popular that the CEO of the company said, hey, that Star Trek thing you guys are doing, I love it. I want you to do a show a week, half an hour long. And I was like, man, what? Oh, yeah, exactly. Oh, geez, what am I going to do? And I was like, okay, well, we got some bits already. We'll do the haiku and we'll do like news, Star Trek news. And well, hell, I've been playing in bands forever. I'll make a Star Trek band. That's 5 minutes. 5 minutes easy. And so I called my friend who was a drummer and said, hey, you're going to be in my Star Trek band. And he said, okay. And then I said, you know any good guitarists? He goes, I just got out of a band with a guy named Brian Moore, who's a great guitarist, and he's a nerd. And I was like, sounds perfect. So we got together and we were just going to kind of talk about what we were going to do. And we ended up writing like 3 songs that day. And we just kind of kept going from there.
Nice.
Well, and one of the important things that I will talk about Captain Carl, what makes such an important backbone of the band is that Carl is a prolific writer. So, not only from writing Dungeons and Dragons since he was 3, but
Okay.
he is a nerd. He is a consummate person that wants to know knowledge about everything. Like you can pretty much ask Carl anything and he will give you a very good answer.
It's funny. Me and Jeff was our old drummer. And when we started writing lyrics for the band, we were like, oh my God, I had no idea like how much I knew about Star Trek until I started writing songs about Star Trek. And then it was
Sounds
like,
about right.
wow. Yeah. I forget, there was an initial point I was going to make when I told you to ask me how we got in the band, and now I can't remember what it was because I talked for so long.
We'll go back.
Yeah, we'll definitely circle back around to that. Now, when you guys first started out, when you were writing the songs, like what were some of the influences, obviously besides the subject matter of Star Trek, that got you writing?
That was pretty much it.
It wasn't just Star Trek, but it was also like, well, what's fun? Well, sex is fun. Drugs
Okay.
are fun. Rock and roll is fun. The whole thing. So it was all about
Right.
not taking it too seriously.
And it was really kind of about taking it at an angle that we didn't think people would think it would be.
Mm-hmm.
Because we used to show up to play. Oh, I remember now my initial point. We used to show up to play at shows, and people, that I literally heard someone say as we were loading our gear in, someone goes, a Star Trek band. Was there going to be a Magic the Gathering band too tonight? And so, but our thing was, let's do Star Trek, but let's kind of do some stuff that people don't normally associate with Star Trek, which was, let's make it all about sex. Let's make it all about drugs. Let's make it about like that kind of, we wanted to be kind of the Motley Crue of Star Trek.
Nice.
Okay. All right.
The Motley Crue.
Well, in terms of the sex and drugs. Yeah, party.
In terms of the debaucherous side of
Yes.
Star Trek, yeah. But now, like music influence wise, like who were the bands that you kind of had like in mind?
In the early days, one of the games we used to play was, pick a band, and what if Green Day was writing a song about Star Trek? And then we'd mess around with that. What if AC/DC was writing a song about Star Trek?
Okay.
Just picking random hard rock, punk, metal.
It'd be kind of like tributes to other bands.
Right.
And initially when we started, I think we were mostly punk because punk songs are pretty easy to write.
Yeah.
Just make it fast and hard, get a catchy riff. But as we kept going, then I feel like Suck My Spock was pretty much a fun punk album. And then when we hit Red Alert, our second album, I think we started to branch out a little more because we started to get quickly bored of the punk.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I love about being in this band is that because you have this running thread that everything is about Star Trek, that kind of holds the band together. And because we have that, we can play any type of music. Mm-hmm. And our fans are very accepting of that because it's always going to be about Star Trek, but you could do a waltz, but it's a Star Trek waltz. And you can get away with anything.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same thing with us. We touch on a lot of different genres, and the fans like pretty much all of it just because it's all about the same.
Pretty much all of it.
Well, yeah, there are a couple of songs that Fart wrote that they're not too keen on, but.
Do you guys get pushback from some of the Trekkies and the conventions and stuff like that?
I wouldn't say we get pushback from it. There's been a couple people that have asked us to turn down before.
Nice.
Yeah, we've had a couple of gigs where you'll start to see people start in the front row and then slowly move back or all the way back to the back of the convention hall or whatever.
Yeah.
Our first creation convention we played, and we don't get to play very many because they look at I guarantee someone says, hey, we need a band. What about there's a band called Warp 11, they're Star Trek, and they, bring up the wiki page and it's like, suck my Spock, boldly go down on me. No. But our first creation.
That changed, I would say.
No,
that changed a little bit because the stars really loved us. They had a really good time.
Our first creation show we played, our fans ended up making a mosh pit in the middle of the convention floor with all these nice chairs, in a big ballroom, and started throwing the chairs in a pile. And we had to be like, stop your captain. I order you to stand down.
Yeah.
We want to be invited back.
Right.
This is our only chance.
Yeah, we weren't invited back for a couple of years after that.
Man. Yeah, I think the biggest reaction to the noise we've ever gotten was a guy in Detroit told us to turn down. We were playing outdoors, and a guy just came up and started going, "You need to turn down." We're like, and I just looked down at my drums and started like turning down imaginary dials. And I'm like, is that better?
I would do. You say, "Get off my bridge, you kids."
So when it comes to like figuring out what's gonna go on an album, do you guys ever have like a theme going like per album? Because I noticed with a name like Borgasm,
it's just Borgasm.
Okay, because I didn't want to put like I'm bored with this orgasm type thing. I didn't know, like Borgasm.
That one is a concept album. That's the one full blown real concept album we've done.
Yeah.
Where and the whole point was that one was going to be metal, as much metal as we can put on it,
but with Pink Floyd metal. Yeah,
and Pink Floyd, Alice in Chains.
Yeah, it still goes all over the place.
Yeah. But I think it was one of our most difficult albums that we really all put a lot of thought into on every level, because the storytelling was so key, and the fact that we were each characters, that was another element, and that it had to completely make sense, and you also couldn't get bored from song to song. So,
Always a plus.
Filler, no filler.
it's actually my favorite album that we've ever made.
It's one of mine.
I really loved it.
And how it came about was, we just loved the title Borgasm because it just kind of sounds like one of our albums. At first it was a song. And one of the things that we do as Warp 11 is often on Halloween, we'll play a show and we'll change the show up to be something different. Like we have another band that we made up called the Roddenberries, but it's like, the rod and berries.
And berries, yeah.
And we wear flight suits and wrestling masks, and the wrestling masks are the color of our uniforms.
Like the Mucho Libre, the
Right.
Mexican wrestling masks.
And we wrote 45 minutes of new material about Star Trek, and we opened for ourselves. And so we showed up, and we're from England, and we talked a lot of shit. Warp 11, fucking wankers, they suck. Oh, I said the F word. Warp 11, wankers, they suck. And they stole our idea. We were playing these songs way before Warp 11. But the best part of it was we played the 45 minutes, and then we left, and then we took off our uniforms and gave them to some like lookalike friends that are the same size as us. And then so we started playing our set, and they came up and started like dancing and yelling at us. And after the show, people were genuinely, some people who'd never seen us really thought there was another band called the Roddenberries. And so anyway, for one Halloween show, we said, let's write a concept album, and we'll finally do Borgasm, and we'll just play this like 45 minutes, hour long concept album. And that's what the Halloween show will be.
Oh, man.
And it's pretty bizarro, but if you've seen The Network, which is Green Day's alternate band, they basically did the same thing.
With wrestling masks.
With
They were
wrestling masks. You can
And
see videos out. They
I said,
just
those wankers, we were doing that years before.
They just released it within the last year. We were just like,
it was their second one.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Right.
second album, yeah.
But the first one, the timing is suspicious because it was near
Yeah.
back when we were doing that. So I don't know.
Who knows where they got the idea?
Who knows?
You never know who
They'll be hearing
Hillbilly
from
Joe's
my
watching.
lawyers. My
My
space lawyers will be calling them.
Space lawyers.
It's like lawyers, except in space. But Mike, what are some of the other stereotypical Star Trek band questions?
Man. Well,
I know now you're on the spot. It's hard to think of them all, right?
Exactly.
yeah, this is why I'm not the host.
Right. But see, this is also why I always love putting Mike on the spot for stuff like this. He's like, hey, I got Warp 11 to come on the podcast. I was like, oh, great. He'll be prepared for an interview.
I always do that to Brian at shows when I need to tune or something. I say, and now Brian will regale you with one of his witty anecdotes.
Oh, and it sucks.
I start tuning.
It's so bad. And then he walks away from the mic, and I have to try to do something, and all I can do is just sound like an idiot.
A space idiot.
It's perfect. But you always say
Idiot.
something clever, so it's perfect.
So since you guys are a Star Trek band, which do you like, Kirk
Is
or
it Star
Picard?
Trek or Star Trek?
Star
It's
Trek.
Star
Always
Trek.
a
That's a good one. Always.
Kirk, always, of course. Kirk or Picard? That was the question, guys. Come on.
Yeah. Well, it is only always that question.
You got to justify your answer.
I like the new Pike a lot in that one season of Discovery. I thought he
So
was.
do I.
Too, yeah.
You're evading.
I like a combination of the two. I like Picard with Shatner's toupee.
I thought Brian was answering.
No,
A whole Kirk and Picard Tuvix situation.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm sorry, all you guys are incorrect. The correct answer is Cisco.
Cisco, whatever.
When he got the goatee, I agree. There's something about a bald man with a goatee just commanding their crew.
If only they could see you now, Captain.
Everyone at home, I'm bald with a goatee. I'm sure you figured that out.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure our listeners have figured that out. They don't need to hear the ego coming through the airwaves.
I feel bad. We probably should have introduced ourselves. Like we just kind of came in as nobodies.
It's nobody's.
yeah. Let's all tell them who we are and what we do.
Well, why don't you just tell everyone who we are, because that's what you've been doing. Do it.
Oh, I'm Captain Carl Miller. I play bass, vocals, and I roll 20-siders.
I'm Chief Engineer Brian, and I play guitar and what else? Sometimes I
You
sing.
need to knock things over.
Yeah.
That was
and,
me. That was the science officer, Kiki Stockhammer.
And she does the singing and the sexing and I don't know, does things on stage.
And the chicken sound effects that are ultimately needed when you need them.
And then, and we lost our first drummer in a transporter accident. And then we picked up this guy.
Commander John Merlino, aka Number One. Yeah, I play drums. I tell them when they're out of tune. I tell Carl when he has a typo or when there's a grammatical problem in any of our lyrics.
It's true. Like everything he just said, he's 1/16 Vulcan. He cannot lie.
Why is this always the job of the drummer? I want to know why we are this way.
Because we're the only real musicians. Actually, to be
I'm not
fair,
even going to say
Ooh.
it.
Yeah.
Brian kicks ass at guitar, but he still doesn't know much of the difference between a major or a minor chord.
That is true. That's true.
He's just like, oh, this sounds great, and you're right. It sounds great. But what the hell are you playing? Notes.
It's on the fifth string.
I got in a fight with John near the end of we're just finishing up our new CD. We just sent it off to be mastered. And I got in an argument with John about, 3 weeks ago about the last song. And I sung all this stuff. It's the title tracks, The Search for Rock. And he kept telling me that it was out of key. And I was telling him, you're crazy. It's not out of key. And finally, I got down on a piano, which I don't play, and started finding all the notes because he knew what key it was in. I don't know any keys. And finally, I'm like, and so it's a B flat. And so, oh, geez, he's right. It's out of key. And it sounds so much better now. There's always something just a little off with that one.
I mean, we could clearly hear that it was
Not
off.
very wrong. It was barely wrong.
Out of key is
Barely
equivalent
wrong.
wrong.
There can be very out of key
John,
and a little out of
Out
key.
of key
Just a
is
little
wrong.
out of key.
I can always hear when it's wrong.
I'm with you, Carl.
Thank you, Mike.
Jeez.
But then again, of course, if you play that note again wrong, we'll all be flat.
Oh, geez.
Ba-dum.
How did you do that?
The music humor, these guys don't get it.
When you guys were growing up, like what age were you, and what got you into Star Trek initially?
I was watching the syndicated versions with my sister. I remember the opening where the Enterprise goes right past you, and my sister and I would pretend that it was coming at us, and we would duck.
Duck out of the way.
Yeah. So yeah, this is like 1970, 1971.
Oh, wow.
And so Trek since Trek for 50 years.
Nice.
In space, no one can hear how old you are.
Yeah.
We're all old. It's okay.
We're all old, trust me.
Well, the same is true for me. In the 70s, my dad and my older brother were super into the original series. And I was reading, I think in junior high, the John Carter of Mars series. So I really started getting into sci-fi, and I love sci-fi. And I started to watch some of the Star Trek. But what really did it for me was not the spaceships, but all the hot chicks in their cool outfits that James T. Kirk always ended up talking to or hanging out with. And I was like, look what she's wearing. I loved it.
She was into the fashion aspect of the show. Space fashion.
Space,
I mean, that's
Or
space fashion.
Yes, fashion.
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 It's like
I mean,
fashion, but in space.
it's fashion. Yeah. Brian, what about you?
Okay, so I got into Next Gen. I remember when I was a little kid, my dad would watch, the original series, and I saw some of that, but I didn't really get into it till Next Gen. I was delivering pizzas. I closed the pizza store, come home, and it would, like, within the first 5 minutes of me being home, boom, the show's on. And it was like the best thing to watch. After I got off of work, I could just sit and veg on Next Gen reruns.
Mm-hmm.
So every night I would pour myself a large glass of whiskey and watch the show. And then Basically, I don't know how any of the episodes end,
He only knows the opens.
but I do love them. I love all the opens.
Oh my God.
The opening credits are fantastic.
With the whoosh.
Yeah. When he talks about space in that deep British voice, killer. Carl, what about you?
So every day I had to be home at I had to be home at 5 because we had dinner at 6 when I was a little kid growing up. And at 5 o'clock, the only thing that was on that was not the news was Star Trek. And I already like sci-fi anyway, but I watched it every night. I mean, I must have seen the original series like so many times, like every episode like 8 times, because that's all I did was watch it every night. And it really paid off when you decide to form a band. Do you think that stuff's never gonna pan out? Who's laughing now, Mom? I'll sit as close to the TV as I want, Mom. I'm doing research, Mom.
I'm not a degenerate, Mom.
Yeah, I'm doing research for my band I'm going to form one day, Mom.
One of these days I'll have sex and you'll be wrong.
Sex with a hot sci-fi girl.
Mom.
Wait, not Mom. Sorry.
Not Mom.
Wait, I don't know. There are a couple of songs. Never mind.
Oh.
It's true. It's true. The last song on what's the
Rock Out with Your Spock Out.
Rock Out with Your Spock Out. Yeah. Not safe for work.
It's got the best punchline out of any song that we've written.
I would almost argue that most of your guys' songs are not safe for work. So.
Actually, we do have, because we have to play, bar mitzvahs and birthday parties sometimes. And so we do have we dug deep into the set list, and we have about 45 minutes worth of material that we can play that is rated PG.
Oh, we change our lyrics all the time.
As long as you say frack, it's okay.
Yeah, frack is actually funnier than saying fuck.
Right.
Mike, edit point. I told you guys.
You said we could say that. You said we could say that.
know, but of course
Boldly Ghost said it. Boldly Ghost said whatever they wanted.
But they're new. They don't know any better yet. They're just young kids.
I hang my head in shame. I'm going down to the turbo lift.
Throw yourself down the giant expanse of the Discovery turbo lift.
Oh my God.
Those are some big ass turbo lifts. Am I right? I was like, what the hell is all that room for?
Mike, edit point.
Right.
Carl was even saying before we started actually recording, we clean it up for interviews, man. It's cool.
But you didn't tell us we had to clean it up.
That's true.
You didn't say we should.
I know.
You had most of your album done before COVID really happened, right? I mean, you were, because I remember seeing you post about being in the studio like right before everybody went into quarantine.
Yeah, we did the Kickstarter, and it was shockingly successful.
When did we do the Kickstarter, John? What month was that?
It was August of 2019.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then we went into the studio less than a month after the Kickstarter was over. So late September, I think, maybe early October. And so we were recording for a couple of months, but we usually take the holidays off around the new year. And we were ready to come back from that. I think we had one session in maybe late January or early February. And then, okay, when are we going to get back? Who knows? So yeah, the album was probably 80% recorded when COVID hit.
Yeah.
And we kind of record and mix at the same time a lot. Our engineer, Joe Johnson, just kicks ass all the time for us.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's making my drums in particular sound amazing. But yeah, so now it's been sort of a year of just trying to get into the studio once in a while to push things along. And we finally finished recording. When was it? December, last month. Yeah. Well, part of the problem was we originally intended to have a 14-song album, and because of the stretch goals on the Kickstarter, we ended up with 21 songs.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
We had 20 songs, and then I realized that we had to write a title track for the album, because all of our albums have a title track that, the album's based on.
Right.
There's backstory there as well. The album
that?
was supposed to be called the Enterprise B-Sides.
Yes.
and
yeah.
the whole flow of the album changed, and so Carl had an epiphany and said, "Oh, we're going to call it The Search for Rock now." But we didn't have a song called The Search for Rock, so Carl had to write one because all of our other albums have title tracks. So that's how
way to go,
It just wanted it. It wanted to be 21 songs for some reason. I don't know. I just felt that was the right number. 20 felt like we were shortchanging people.
It wanted to be old enough to drink.
Exactly.
Go. The album can enjoy itself responsibly. There's your tagline. Fark, 5-year mission.
I'm writing this down.
Sounds like you did a little bit of recording and mixing and everything during this past year, but what else have you done to fill the musical void since there aren't a lot of shows and stuff happening right now?
We played a lot of Gears of War, Kiki and I.
That's true. Lots of video games.
I tap on the table a lot and annoy the hell out of my wife.
I would listen over and over to the album that was like 80% done and just go crazy. I couldn't go in and like turn that up a little bit and fix that line right there.
Did a lot of vocal warm-ups.
For no reason, singing in the shower.
No, but seriously,
gotta stay warm.
We put a lot of work into this album. And I think, what's cool about it is there's lots of songs. Many of these, if you've ever gone to any of our shows, some of them are new works, but others are older songs that were just really, really popular that we never
got
laid
around
down
to
the tracks.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's what we did. And then, we had a lot of fun this last album with harmonizing, which we really didn't have the time before. And because of COVID, we really had the opportunity to really dive into each song a little bit more and give it a little more flavor.
A lot more ooze on this album than previous albums, I think.
Ew.
A lot more ooze.
You.
No, good ooze. Good ooze.
Ooze and ahs.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly like that.
Ooh.
I mean, some of the songs on the album were probably never recorded because they didn't deserve to be recorded until we finally said, let's record all this stuff that we never recorded. Like Federation
Uhura is a rockin' ass.
Uhura rocks. I don't know why you guys didn't record that the day you
Like I
wrote.
said, if most albums had 14 songs, and we have a lot of songs.
Yeah.
A lot of songs.
We still have a lot of songs.
We have like 130 songs.
You wrote Uhura in 2000, 2001, and you
I know,
never...
but it's one of those things where you write it and you love it, and then by the time you get around to making another album, you've written another like 15 songs that you also love, and the newer songs are always more exciting because it's new, and it's like, oh, I love this new song, instead of this one we've been playing for a while, and so the new ones always make it.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, King Kong versus Captain Kirk. That
Classic.
We recorded.
Classic mashup of genres.
Yeah.
If you do, if you do say so
hello,
yourself.
look how on point it is for this year.
Yes,
Indeed.
Kong is back.
Yes, I can't
Sure.
wait.
Gonna get his ass kicked by a lizard.
I think he's going to win.
I think they're going to work together.
I think that's the big surprise is that King Kong is going to beat up Godzilla, who Godzilla should win. We all know
See,
that.
for me,
yeah.
when I was a kid,
Did you?
it was all Godzilla movies, or whenever I could see it on VH1, Channel 41 or whatever, Godzilla movies. I loved them.
Wait,
I
guys.
loved them along with Star Trek.
They did make a Godzilla band. Did you catch in the trailer that the weapon Kong is holding, it looks kind of like an axe, is one of Godzilla's spines on like a big
Noticed
pole?
that.
That's the weapon. So he's going to fight fire with fire, radioactive fire with radioactive fire.
And speaking of gorillas, there's always Ugatu Mugatu, which is
Oh, I
another.
didn't think about it. We have
really good.
we got double primate songs
And
on
that's
this
a
album.
really
Ugatu
old song.
Mugatu
That's
and
really old.
King Kong versus Captain Kirk.
Yeah, we actually have a Mugatu song too, don't we?
You should.
Yeah,
I-
that was one of the Kickstarter bonuses.
Yeah.
I'd be disappointed if you didn't.
Yeah, it's fully recorded, but I think only 35 people have heard it.
we used to have for the show, so we were doing the Star Trek show. It was called The Prime Directive, and we would do skits and stuff. And so we had these guys they were incredible, like making costumes and sets. And they made us a fantastic Mugatu suit. And so when we would play live, we would have someone for one song come out in the Mugatu, costume.
Yeah. And it looked like a real Mugatu.
Nice.
Yeah, it did.
And Ryan got quite sweaty dancing for one song. And I don't that costume was never washed. It is very
we always felt sorry for whoever had to wear it.
Skin.
Brian, you played an entire set in an Ewok suit, so
So again, for Halloween, one year we rewrote 45 minutes of our songs to be about Star Wars instead of Star Trek, and we dressed up in Star Wars costumes, and we opened for ourselves. We were Hyperdrive 12, and we talked a lot of shit about Warp 11. It's a recurring theme.
Super fun.
A recurring theme to make fun of ourselves as other bands.
I did that twice, actually. The first time I was Princess Leia. Second time I was Han Solo. So
I kind of like the pathos of like the Roddenberrys that, we're in this band that we sing about Star Trek, and we have a lot of songs about Star Trek. We have like 8 CDs about Star Trek. And then for one show, we would come up with an alternate band, but that other band would also sing about Star Trek, and every song would be about Star Trek, but it wouldn't be any of our songs. It's all different songs. That's because we care.
I also think the most important thing about being in a Star Trek band, and you guys tell me what you think, but we wouldn't do it if it weren't fun. Like if it stopped being fun and entertaining for us first, I don't think we'd be doing it anymore.
Oh no, we always say that because we go and play conventions and stuff and get to hang out with fans and make new fans, and meeting celebrities is definitely a plus, especially when you get scared by one in a back hallway.
Tell that story. Who scared you in the hallway?
Simon Pegg.
Oh, okay. All right. That makes sense.
Because Mike knows I'm a huge Simon Pegg fan, and I didn't realize he was directly behind me. And Mike goes, "Hey, Fark, look behind you." And I turned around, and there's Simon Pegg standing there, and literally the sound that came out of my mouth was, "Huh." And I have no clue to this day where that sound came from, and nor can I ever recreate it.
That's awesome.
I wanted to ask you guys about the Trekkies 2 documentary that you guys wound up being a part of. How did that come about?
Well,
I don't remember.
I don't either. I think it's because there weren't very many Star Trek fans out there, honestly.
There were 4 Trek bands just in Sacramento or something at the same time.
Sacramento was a mecca of Star Trek fans.
We took it the most seriously, I think.
We cared.
We cared, and we were living it in, not only on the internet through our TV show, our internet show, but also just through the band and everything. And we have a very strong work ethic. We put everything we have into it. It's not like we're going to do something half-assed. If we're going to do it, we're going to really do it.
Full-assed.
We mean it.
Yeah, we mean it.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think someone probably called us and asked us if we wanted to do it, and then someone in the band probably said yeah. And so we ended up probably doing it.
But the ironic thing was
interesting story.
When we would do events with them to promote that, it would be a lot of the Star Trek people, the officials, I don't know who they were, but they would, organize these events, and it always turned out that they really didn't know that much about Star Trek. They would try to have all these question and answer things, and Carl knew more than any of them. It was amazing. They were all like, "Oh my God, Carl." Okay. They would just kind of look to him.
Yeah,
after
they shake
a while.
their head and go, "Nerd."
I'm so happy that there's things like the Lower Deck out there and Discovery and, new things for new generations. I think there's a lot to be said of some of the original concepts about Star Trek that really we could all use today about just,
being nice to each other.
Being nice to each other and being inclusive. And, every time we did different creation events or any of the conventions, there were all different kinds of people coming together. And I always found great joy in that and meeting people through that. And I still think that there's a lot of positivity with that. And, you know, I hail Gene Roddenberry for putting that together way back when. And there's a lot of firsts, you know. Uhuru is such an amazing character, a strong woman back in the day with so much misogyny.
An officer on the bridge, and a woman.
And, you know, and just going off a little bit for women out there, you know, on this new album, there's some songs like The Naked Time. And I totally could relate with from Alien, Ripley, you know, how they originally wanted to cast Ripley as a man. And so there were some songs that Carl was going to take. And I was like, wait a minute, I want to sing that song.
And then she takes all my songs.
I want to sing that song.
Takes all my songs.
And, you know.
My space songs.
It's the same, but I get to be the raunchy one. I get to be the one out there, you know.
Oh, you're always the raunchy one.
I am not. Stop it. You know, so that was really, really fun for me. And I think there's a lot of empowerment with all of that. I think that women should be empowered. I think that all people should be empowered to be their true selves. And I love that.
Absolutely.
And, you know, for me, that was something I really liked about Star Trek, because I've always felt that very deeply, even since I was a kid. Like when people were made fun of, or, you know, I never liked that. I never stood for that. I never did mob mentality ever. And so I think we really need that today. And I know I'm sombering the tone a bit, but I think that is a true core essence of Star Trek. So there.
And there you go.
Enough drinks.
Enough drinks.
And the sex. Don't forget about the sex part.
Well, because I get it with the with all the empowerment and everything like that, because like both of my kids who are 9 and 11, my daughter is 11 years old, and like right now her biggest idol in the world is Tilly from Discovery, and she.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Well, it's nice to see.
And
like,
she's a redhead. Yes.
Yeah.
Kiki has red hair. If you haven't figured that out.
Yes. But no, it's great that Star Trek is still living up to its own original ideals, and you know, putting like women in power, putting people of color in power, putting non-binary characters in power now, and that is phenomenal. And I will applaud. I will go up and give Eugene Roddenberry a giant high five next time I see him in person.
In space.
In space. A sci-fi.
In space where no one can hear you.
So the search for rock, when can people expect to have that in their dirty ear holes?
Well, let's see. John's probably done all the math. We sent off the master. He's going to start mastering it tomorrow. We send our stuff to a guy in Sweden who we've worked with forever. He's
Awesome.
amazing.
He's really
amazing.
great.
And John, once that's done, when will the digital copy will be done right after that, right?
Well, you said you've got one more day in the studio where you got to cut it down to make the CD master. You got to trim the edges.
That's an hour.
Right. But once that's done, you just hand it all off to me, and I upload it to CD Baby, and it goes out to the world.
So probably in a few weeks.
That's digitally. The physical CD, which we got to go through all the manufacturing and all that stuff, that'll be
rigmarole.
Which, let's face it, though, how many people are really physical? Does anybody here still have a CD player?
You mean apart from the 500 CDs we have to mail out as part of the Kickstarter?
Well,
that's the worst part. But I'm going to let you do that. Well, the crew, you guys will handle that. I'll be in space.
Typical captain.
Yeah.
You guys are doing that.
It's fair. This whole Kickstarter was my idea, so I should have
It was his idea.
Was.
What's funny is we made all this money from the Kickstarter, but then because we had to do 21 songs, we ended up, of course, spending more money than we made from the
We
Kickstarter.
lost a bunch of money on this Kickstarter.
Well, we had money in the band fund that I don't let you guys know about, so we'll use some of that.
Well,
To finish it.
I just want to say that I love being in Warp 11, and I love my bandmates, and everyone's really, really different. And everyone really, every single time we come together to create something new, we all have challenged ourselves individually. We've all come together and done something new and different and brought something and worked hard for it. And I really appreciate being in Warp 11 for that, because I think it's such a positive, great outlet of creativity, and music is something that, you know, everyone can get into. And as far as I've always thought, like, you know, whatever music we make, it will always be there. People can always find it. If they need a laugh, if they need to not take something too seriously, you know, whatever it is, it will be there for generations to come. And I like that idea.
I'm sick of my crew. You're all fired.
And John Merlino, number one, like he, you know, we're here in Sacramento and he had to drive 2 hours, and the 2 hours.
More sometimes. He had to drive in like traffic from San Francisco to Sacramento.
Yeah, which is really
Brutal.
intense. It's brutal just for band practice.
I've been doing it for 13 years. I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah, when he joined the band, I told him, I said, he was like, we tried out all these drummers because we lost our drummer to a transporter accident. And they were all horrible. And John is this guy I work with. And he goes, hey, I play drums. Why don't you let me come and try? And I'm just thinking, you know, the guy you work with, I play drums, been playing for years. And I'm thinking, no way, no way. And finally, everyone was so horrible. I was just out of desperation. I was like, okay, John, come and play. And the guy is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. And
he's a jazz drummer.
And
he's
then
awesome.
But then I realized, oh no, you live in San Francisco. You can't be in this band. He's like, I'll do it. I'm like, there's no way you're gonna drive
I'll make it work.
to band practice. He's like, I'll make it work. And he did, and thank God.
And then of course there's Brian Moore, our guitarist.
Yay.
Who is incredible. He has
by the way, I need to interrupt. Carl, just a reminder, you owe me $14,000 for gas.
Got it. Can I pay you in space money?
Sure.
It's funny.
So Brian, he has this squirrel system that he puts together. So every single time we've made an album, you know, he would always come to the studio and he would have these super intensive,
like weird charts,
like notes
that no one else can read but him. It's like his own system that we call the squirrel system.
Math rock.
He would meticulously think through, like, oh my God, we need this sound here and we need that sound here.
But he also didn't want other people to be able to figure out how he played something.
He wouldn't want
so
any
he would
other
do everything like
in.
Normally you'd play it like this, but I'm going to play it like this. So when they try to figure out, they're going to go, it doesn't sound right. What's going on? Squirrel system.
We love it. And
there is no tablature for the squirrel system.
And one of our favorite things is also just, you know, Brian loves to get feedback on his guitar. So we've kind of made a running joke of that throughout all of our albums as well, because there's always a feedback
solo
and solo
World sound.
But I just am going to end with this, that I feel so lucky that for 20 years to be in a band where everybody gets along. And I'm not saying we don't argue, but I think arguing is a great part of
being in a band.
Great art.
Yeah.
And we all have our different opinions, but in the end, we really come together and we really focus. We really make new songs. And
then Carl wins all the arguments.
Yeah, well,
you need a Gilmore and a Waters to have a Pink Floyd. You need that butting heads and those different approaches to come up with greatness.
And
nobody
I think
needs
in
a
this
Waters.
interview, you guys can kind
Waters adds
you
a
can
lot
all
to it.
hear
Okay, that's going to be a separate show
of how the four of us all come together to make Warp 11.
Exactly.
And that's what it is.
What do you love about me? I heard the love about John, and I heard the love
don't say
about
anything.
Brian, but you haven't really.
Don't say anything, Kiki.
And now you're supposed to say, "Oh, we're out of time, everyone. Thank you for being on the show, Warp 11. Truly amazing having you."
We'll see you next week.
Kiki, now if
and Woody, Carl Vance Miller, aka the Captain, and he's very thorough. He's very meticulous.
Some would say too meticulous.
And that brings it all together, you know. And I think I'm probably the Deanna Troy of our group, where I'm kind of the empath. I kind of feel everybody a little bit behind the scenes. I'm always trying to tie everybody together, and yeah, that's it. There you have Warp 11, ladies and gentlemen.
You cannot have Dark Side of the Moon without Roger Waters.
I feel like after Kiki's kind words about Carl, that this might be a hostage situation.
This is just
Not
the end
sure.
of part 1 of 12 interviews with Roger.
Obviously, you guys said a lot of kind words about each other, and now I feel like you guys need to go wipe each other off.
That's how we usually end band practice. So
Wiping each other off.
yeah.
The shower is right next to the band room, so
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
Well,
And then
I
it's
hope
a group
sometime we can
shower.
all meet each other. That would be really
want-
awesome.
we got the gig together.
Did
We-
you guys ever play that LA gig?
No, because of COVID.
Oh, that's what I figured.
Everything got shut down.
One day we'll play together. Like we
Yeah.
might have to
Oh, no,
like
we absolutely need
come out
to.
of the old folks' home, but
Speak for yourself.
reform the band. Well, I'm just saying it might be a while, but one day the stars will align and we will do a Super Trek show.
That
Yeah,
would
we
be
just
so
need to meet
fun.
like halfway in somewhere in like Oklahoma or some bullshit like that.
We'll play in a field.
I'm just gonna say,
If you
no.
build it, they will play.
some area in some New Mexico desert where we'll meet there.
Area 51.
That works, man.
That would be perfect.
But thank you guys, Warp 11, for coming on. Everybody keep an eye out for The Search for Rock, the new album from Warp 11. 21 songs. The album's old enough to drink responsibly. So we will catch up with you guys again. We will play a show together one day. We loved having you guys on.
Thanks for having
Thanks for
us.
having us.
Thank you guys.
Live long and prosper and all that Trek stuff we're supposed to say.
Don't
Be
be
good
a
to each other.
stereotype.
I'm going to go drink some Tranya. Later, nerds.
Hey, do you miss getting new content from 5 Year Mission? You should head over to patreon.com/5yearmission and check out our Patreon page. As a patron of the band, you will receive access to rare and behind-the-scenes pictures and videos and other cool stuff. You will also have early access to many things, like video releases or new songs. You can sign up for different levels, from ensign all the way up to admiral. One of the perks of being an admiral on 5 Year Mission's Patreon is that you get to be a producer on this podcast. Currently, our producers are Neil Carpenter, Helen Lake, Debbie Rinke, Carol Jones, Becky and Roxy, Steve and Frankie Palopoli, Madison Rachel Jones, and Jim Morehouse. Your name could be on this list if you sign up as an admiral. So head over to patreon.com/5yearmission now. That's the number 5 Year Mission.
Hey, did you know that Fansets is your home for all things pop culture pin related? I'll bet you did, because here pretty soon they're going to have new releases from DC Comics' Legion of Superheroes, as well as new releases from Xenoscope. Here's some new releases from Star Trek. Of course, they're continuing the Women of Trek series with Dr. Beverly Crusher, and also a slew of new pins from Picard, including Picard, Raffi, Elnor, with the little word bubble coming out that says choose to live, which I love, and also episode pins from episodes 6 and 7, The Impossible Box and Nepenthe. And hey, do you seek Jamaharan? I almost said it wrong, but I got it right, because who's not seeking that? Because the Horgon that originally appeared on TNG is coming. Oh man, just let people know what you're looking for by wearing that Horgon on your lapel. Or, just on a mask, which they also have. Anything else. But anyway, head over to fansets.com right now. Put any of those pins in your cart. Upon checkout, use the discount code 5YEARMISSION. That is the number 5, and then all caps, year mission, 5 Year Mission. You can get 10% off of your entire order over at fansets.com. Fansets. Our pins have character, and we thank Fansets for sponsoring each and every single episode that appears on the Trek Geeks network of podcasts.
It's like Discovery trying to, when each captain is trying to figure out like
His word,
what
his
their new
engaged word,
catchphrase.
the engaged words.
hit it.
Fuck shit up.
We're rolling. Picture me rolling. Picture me warping.
No.
Yes.
I'm highly disappointed in you right now.
Picture me warping.
Oh my God, you guys, I'm sorry if we were all over the place. It's just so nice to talk to people.
I know, right?
I think we've all, I'll speak for myself. It's just been really intense just being on lockdown. We have not really gone anywhere, done anything other than the studio has essentially been our outlet right now. And even when we go in there, it's just with our producer.
And we can never get in there because it's a COVID nest.
No, it's
Right.
not.
It is a COVID nest.
A hive of scum and villainy.
Scum and villainy and
We
COVIDity.
just had a drum workshop there. You don't want to go anywhere near that place until it's hosed down.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're not.
Yeah, drummer's
Yeah.
got all the diseases.
Drummer ass alone is just going to have to be a whole decontamination situation.
Thank you. It's true.
I know all about it. I've gone through like 7 drum thrones in the past
So
8
where
months.
are you guys? Are you guys all in the same
Town?
city together?
Indianapolis, yeah. All of us are Indy.
None of us have to drive 2 hours.
Yeah.
Just
It's
about
probably
like
easier
20
to
minutes.
get together. We always have to figure out, are we doing a weekend gig where we can play for hours together, or are we going to do John really hustled ass in just showing up on a Wednesday night or a Thursday night after work.
There's nothing like driving here for 3 hours, having band
And then
practice for
hopping in a
2
car.
hours, and then driving home at like 10 p.m.
And California traffic has just gotten worse and worse every
Well, not
year.
with the COVID.
Well, and that was the nice thing about COVID, but then, nobody's going anywhere. So
I forgot to ask in advance if you wanted us to play one of the songs on the podcast.
oh yeah.
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 We should. Search
do you
for
have-
rock.
Do you have
Yeah,
one
play
in
the-
mind?
Play the
Search-
title track. Play
Yeah.
the Search for Rock because it's fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to give an introduction for it?
This song is the title track from the new album. It's called The Search for Rock, and it is about searching for the rock
And Star Trek.
and Star Trek.
In space.
This is one of the few songs that isn't actually about sex. Is there sex and drugs in this one? It's probably in there somewhere. Listen hard enough, it's there.
Warp 8, Mr. Scott, and increasing. Blow your dampers. Warp 9. Cut your circuits, all of them. Warp 10, Mr. Scott. Impossible. It can't go that fast. You just won't stop, Mr. Scott. Warp 11.
Welcome aboard, my friends. Welcome to the show. We're here to beam you up and
Thanks, you guys. Live long
It's
and
great talking to you.
It's great to finally talk to you. Actually talk to you. We've messaged back and forth for years and never really actually talked. I meant to say this earlier.
Oh God! Here you go, sucking some musical dick here. Watch.
I've been a fan of Warp 11 for several years, and I don't think 5 Year Mission would exist without you guys because you were a little bit of an inspiration. I was like, if they can do it, anybody can.
It's true.
See, I was going to be big.
Well, you guys are great too. And
we're the Dave
thank you for
Grohl of
picking
Star Trek.
Yeah, thank you guys for picking up that Star Trek torch and running with it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Absolutely.
When we all hang out, we're going to have such a blast. I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait to get drunk with you guys.
Oh, good Lord. Especially Mike. Ooh, man. Drinky Mike is hilarious.
We appreciate you guys so much. So thanks again for giving us an opportunity, mostly to just kind of say hi and meet you guys after all these years.
Human interaction, especially.
Yeah, and now you can also see that we're real, and whatever kind of crazy shit you hear through Warp 11, you have some grounding in who we are.
Or are we real? Are we like the Baylock puppets?
Well, John is the most real of all of us, but he could kill you with his mind with those samurai swords.
John's a puppet.
He could kill you with his mind with samurai swords. That just, wow. No.
I've been playing too many video games.
I don't know where she was going with that. It's not true. Don't believe her. It's not. No.
God.
Well, maybe.
All right, then. Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Let's do it again sometime.
I sure want to leave. I sure want to leave. Thank you for listening to this episode of 5 Year Mission Podcast. If any of you are interested in listening to more of our music, you can check us out on YouTube or Spotify or iTunes or pretty much anywhere that you can listen to music. Just search for 5 Year Mission and we should be the first thing that comes up. If you would like to contact us in regards to the podcast or anything else that you want to talk to us about, you can email us at 5yearmissionband@gmail.com.
And for more information about the band, you can go to 5yearmission.net and also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
5 Year Mission, the podcast, is a production of Coconut Media Works. Executive producers Bill Smith and Dan Davidson. For more great Star Trek discussion, discover the other shows of the Trek Geeks Podcast Network at trekgeeks.com or find us in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app.